Welcome to the Midwest Blitz. It's college football comfort food for the Midwest soul. Now, here are your hosts, Coach Drew and Big Nick.
Welcome to another edition of the Midwest Blitz. It's finally playoff time. Yeah, yup.
We got Bama, Oklahoma. We got Miami, Texas A&M. We got Oregon, James Madison. We got Ole Miss, Tulane. Plus, we got a bunch of other bowl games, Coach Drew. We love bowl games here on the Midwest Blitz. If you don't love bowl games, then you shouldn't be listening to this show at all. It's Christmas time. It's time for family. It's time to crack open a bottle of eggnog and just sit there with your uncle, who you may or may not like, and watch these bowl games at a family get-together, or on your lunch break from work where you're sitting at the bar watching games. Not that I've ever done that or not have done that, but maybe I have, Coach Drew, because some of these games start in the middle of the goddamn day. You know what? I'm here for it because I love college football. If you don't love college football, click on to a different show. We're going to lead off, Coach Drew, with Alabama versus Oklahoma. Look, Drew, Oklahoma knocked off Alabama 23-21 in September, and this was a game where Alabama turned the ball over 3 times. Oklahoma turned it over 0 times. This was early Christmas for Oklahoma. Alabama basically tried to give this game away, a layup interception return for a touchdown. Now, not to take away from Eli Bowen, who took it to the house for the Sooners, but Ty Simpson throws a terrible interception return for a touchdown. There was a fumble by Ryan Williams on a punt return that also was recovered around the 30-yard line going in for the Sooners. A missed field goal at the end of the half by Bama, a bad snap situation where the kicker ended up missing it. That's plus 3 points for the Sooners, in my opinion. And then Ty Simpson fumbled, and that was recovered inside the 30-yard line. And so of all of these calamities, Coach Drew, Alabama outgained Oklahoma almost 2-1 in yards from scrimmage. And Oklahoma won by 2 points, 23-21. What would it take? Granted, this game will be at Norman, Oklahoma. This can be a great atmosphere in Norman when Alabama, the Tide comes in to visit the Sooners. Great atmosphere for Oklahoma fans. It's going to be a disappointing night because Alabama is going to go in there and rue the day. Alabama is not going to lose again. Alabama basically tried to give the game away, as I was just saying, talking about stats, talking about things that happened during the last game. Alabama is going to win this game. I got the Tide minus 1.5, and that's my bet on the game. They'll meet IU in the granddaddy of them all, the Rose Bowl. I don't see how, Coach Drew, Oklahoma is able to beat Alabama without Alabama turning the ball over 3 or 4 times. Basically, Alabama dominated time of possession the last game, even though Alabama doesn't run the ball well. That's something we're going to talk about later. It's something we've talked about in the past. But I don't know how Oklahoma beats them other than crowd noise and all these things. Yet playing on the road causes problems in those respects. But, dude, 3-0 turnover ratio, win by 2 points with missed field goals and all these other problems. I don't know how you could pick Oklahoma to win this game, especially John Mateer, who looked like Heisman Superman at the beginning of the year. He had hand surgery. We're not dogging on John Mateer. But this Oklahoma offensive line has not blocked well. They have not produced in the running game very well all year, except when Mateer can do it. But this Alabama defense is legit. Alabama has no run game offensively. They still dominated by time of possession by, I think, about 10 minutes, which you can't do much better than that. And that's Alabama not running the ball well. And they dominate by 10 minutes of possession the first time they played Oklahoma. I just don't see how Oklahoma wins this game other than some Sooner magic, Coach Drew. Let me know what you think about that.
Well, let's just start off with this. It's the playoffs. Anything could happen. According to ESPN Analytics, which some of us don't trust as much as others, they're giving them a 50-50 flip of a coin, right? But like you explained, Alabama has a lot of why they can win and why that coin is not actually 50-50 and as a fair.
No.
Now, I will say this. Oklahoma is going to be coming into this game prepared. They definitely were watching film and studying film about what Georgia did right and how to beat Ty Simpson. Pressure. They got to get to the quarterback. Now, this is a team that's led by a defensive coordinator who came from Clemson. A lot of people forgot how good Clemson defense used to be before he took the job at Oklahoma. Now, the reason why I bring this up, Ty Simpson struggles with checkdowns when they're covering in what I believe in zone coverage. Can Oklahoma match that? They're not going to beat them man-to-man, right? Can they beat them in the coverage? Well, now here's the thing. Are they going to pass them off or are they going to blitz? There's a lot of good things that we can look at in the systematics and the schemes of that. Can Ty Simpson prove that he's a top 10 NFL draft quarterback? Alluding to what we're going to be talking about later on, coming down in the Midwest Blitz about draft prospects, Ty Simpson's definitely going to come up because he's going to be battling against our boys, possibly Dante Moore, Fernando Mendoza, right? Different guys like that. But yeah, this Oklahoma team, Mateer really wants to go out there and do well, obviously, because this might be his last rodeo as a competitive quarterback, really, right? Like, this is what we're looking at as far as, like, that's why he came to Oklahoma to compete. That place is going to be rocking. It's going to be one of the things I don't know. We're looking at things. Okay, the game starts at Oklahoma's on Central Time. So I believe that clock ticks at 8 o'clock for Alabama. That's not going to matter as much, right? Time differential. We've talked about that similar. We're going to get into why time matters in flip-flopping schedules. Now, this is also on a Friday. Alabama, I believe, had enough time, right? They had enough time to prepare for this game. This isn't like it was like they just learned on this Sunday that they're playing them, right?
It's an opponent who they've scouted and played before, which helps a lot, which also comes up in the Ole Miss Tulane game, not to get off track. But yeah, it's a team you played before, so you don't have to come up with a brand new scouting strategy in order to play them. So you were talking about pass rush. Oklahoma does have a really good pass rush grade compared to everybody else in the country. Oklahoma has a hell of a defense. The problem is there's too many holes in Oklahoma's offense, especially since Mateer got hurt. Obviously, his passing accuracy is not as good. The ball's not coming off the hand the same way. We've talked about this in the past. If you've listened to Midwest Blitz, you've already heard us say this. But another thing that's the problem is, and this is why Oklahoma, I didn't think they would make it this far, is when Mateer got hurt, it showed the hole that Oklahoma's run blocking is not good. Mateer really was the catalyst early in the year when I thought Oklahoma looked good offensively and that Mateer legitimately looked like a Heisman candidate after the Michigan game. But they cannot hand the ball off to a running back and get legitimate production. Alabama is going to go into Norman, and they are going to win this game because they're the better coach team in terms of clock management strategy, down and distance strategy. Oklahoma's got a good coaching staff. They've got a good defense. They have a very good defense, in fact. But you cannot play a team like Alabama. Alabama's efficient. Alabama has a formula for winning and controlling the clock, which does not involve consistently running the football. That blows my mind. I'm not going to draw it on the big board for you because I don't fully understand it. But what I do understand is Alabama knows how to extend drives. They know how to keep the chains short and convert on third down better than Oklahoma does. And I think that the Alabama defense is going to rule the day in this matchup. Again, not to repeat myself, but if Oklahoma wins by 2 in that first game with all the mistakes Alabama made, I don't see Kalen DeBoer's coaching staff making the same amount of mistakes again. I just don't see it. I think that Alabama probably wins this game by double digits, honestly. I know it's a road game. I hope I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, but Oklahoma's going to have to overcome a lot more down and distance situations, and their offense is going to have to do more to put points on the board. They had a pick six the last game. Special teams turnover by Alabama and Ryan Williams. You're not going to get all those factors fall the same way 2 games in a row, and that's why I think Alabama is going to win this football game handily by the time the fourth quarter starts.
According to game theory and betting analogies, when a team loses to another team early in the season or any time and they play twice, it's easy to say Alabama's going to win this game. But for some reason, maybe it's just the gambling man in me, I just feel like Oklahoma, something weird's going on. They're not in Kansas no more. I know they have tornadoes down there, but something weird's going on. I don't know. There's this thing. I'm not anti-DeBoer, okay? I'm not. He came from
Not either.
Washington. There's just sometimes he gives me this vibe on the sideline that okay, first off, it's like you are going out there and a musician, like for some reason, the musician before you is the main act, and then they're like, oh, the main performance went. And then you're like, all right, now I got to perform. And you're like playing a violin and you just watch like a great rock star and you're like, all right, I hope everybody likes this. There's a lot of pressure with DeBoer. This isn't Saban's Alabama. This is why I don't trust them. This is why I don't trust them. And this is me. Prove it, right? I'm going to say this with a lot of teams. You got to prove it, right? There is some dogs in here. There's some dogs in this fight that we're going to talk about that I trust. I mean, I hate to say it, I'm pro Oklahoma on this one, which is weird because I like Texas.
I'm not
Maybe they just got something more to
anti-Oklahoma.
prove.
I just look at the rematch from 2 teams who played not so long ago. And you ever play backyard basketball or something where you're like, okay, I know I'm better than you or you're better than me, so I'm going to give you a point spread. So I have to beat you by so many before I win, or vice versa. I mean, Bama basically did that with all the mistakes they made last time. And so I got faith that Bama is going to take care of the football better this game and take care of business on the road. My bet is Bama minus 1.5 on the road. I think it's going to be an easy win, honestly.
Yeah, the points, the spread and the money line, they don't help you at all. I mean, we're talking pennies to a dime, barely, if you take one or the other. But the minus 1.5, at least that helps you a little bit if they lose by 1. So plus 1.5, right? Or was it minus 1.5?
Bama's favored by 1.5 on the road. Last I checked.
So as long as, yep, you are correct. So as long as they win by 2, you got it. It's just one of those silly things you don't see a lot. 21-20s. So Vegas is trying to point you out there. They give you a few.
Trust me on this one, America.
Well, do you want to go to somewhere else down there in SEC land? I think Texas A&M also has a game, sir. This is on Saturday.
The number 10 seeded Miami Hurricanes take on the Texas A&M Aggies at noon on ABC and the ESPN app. Miami is +3 on the road. So, Coach Drew, you got a lot of friends from Texas and a lot of friends from Miami, so I need you to help me with some geography here. Now, this game's going to be played in College Station, right, Drew?
Yeah, it's going to be played at College Station.
Is College Station contained within the state of Florida or in that panhandle that they have up there?
No, it's in the greater state of Texas.
It's in Texas. All right, Miami's already in trouble right now. They have to travel outside the state of Florida. What happened last time? It's okay if you don't remember. What happened last time Miami went to the state of Texas?
I don't really recall.
They went to Dallas, and they got beat by the SMU Mustangs, which is what had them outside the college football playoff, at least the start of it. Miami is not a good road team. They got to go to Texas A&M. They got to play the 12th man at Kyle Field. I think Miami's got a good squad, but do we really trust Miami to go on a road game, the state of Texas, and win? They haven't done it in the past. I don't think that Miami's really built for the road. And if you look at their entire scheduling strategy, which I don't blame them for, playing inside the state against directional Florida, and then southern directional Florida, it is a good strategy to rack up wins early in the season. It's not disrespect to South Florida or Florida International or the other teams that they play. It's just a matter of, I think traveling makes you better at traveling. And the greatest coaches in the history of college sports are good at planning to travel Bobby Knight, I'm an IU fan. Bobby Knight was the best at planning travel. Indiana's road win percentage was insane when Bobby Knight was the coach. And there's other college football coaches I'm sure we could bring up. But I mean, I've heard the methodology of, well, why are we an underdog on the road? Why shouldn't you win on the road? Other than you can't handle the crowd noise, or you don't realize we don't have class today. We get a day off school. You have more preparation time. So it's all a mental thing. And I don't think Miami has that racked up. Also I think Carson Beck's a very good player. He's had some major turnover problems against good defenses. I think that Cassius Howell and this Texas A&M front are going to put some pressure on him. That's not to say that Carson Beck's not a good player. I do think he's a good player. I think he's definitely going to be on an NFL roster. Malachi Toney is an absolute stud of a player for Miami. This is not a diss on Miami, but I think that Texas A&M is going to control the line of scrimmage in this game. Miami has, Francis Manoa. I'm not throwing shade at him right now, but they have a lot of talented players on their offensive line who are supposed to be NFL players, NFL draft picks. They have not produced in the run game down the stretch this season, Coach Drew. Now, what they do have on the defensive side of the ball is Desmond Bain. Bain, I will break you. Desmond Bain is a scary dude. He deserves to be a top 5 pick. His teammate on the other side of the end of the defensive line of scrimmage, Hakeem Mesidor, is also a very good player. Every time I've watched him, I'm impressed. But I'm not sure that Miami is going to have the running game to go into Kyle Field against the 12th man and deal with what they have to deal with. So what are we saying, football coach Drew? What travels? Running game and defense. Well, Miami's running game has not traveled on the road. Miami does have a good defense, but in a road game of this magnitude, I don't know how do you pick Miami to win on the road? I just don't think it's going to happen. I got Texas A&M -3. I like Texas A&M. Marcel Reed also gives Texas A&M an edge because he can make plays with his legs and his arm, and Beck is more of a pocket guy. And I'm not anti-pocket passer. Some people now just dismiss a kid if it's like, oh, he's not a good runner. I'm not doing that to Carson Beck, but I do think that Reed is a guy who not just runs well for yardage, but creates opportunities to throw on the run, as we saw against Notre Dame at the beginning of the year. I think the Aggies have this one at home. I'm not saying they're going to beat Miami by a lot, but I don't think Miami, again, playing on the road, not having a reliable running game is a big-ass problem, especially against Elko and this Texas A&M defense. I don't know. I don't know how else you put it. How do you pick Miami on the road here, unless you're from Dade County, Coach Drew?
I mean, just remember, the Zebras need to keep the flags in their pocket. There's not a 12th man on the field when they travel to Texas A&M. I mean, there's a reason why this place is going to be electric. Texas A&M is going to be. There is no prisoners. Now, I remember, we're going to talk common opponents, and we're going to talk about my Irish here for a second. And when the Irish traveled to Texas, not this year, but the previous year, I was nervous because that's a hard place to play. And I think that gave precedence to, I mean, that was a special group of kids, and Texas A&M was a good group of kids too as well. But it really showed how you have to be mentally prepared. Now, bring it back to Notre Dame and common opponents. Watching Texas A&M play against my favorite team, some things I did notice, okay? Texas A&M doesn't do bubble screens. They spread the ball and move it vertically and everything. When we were watching the game and we were like, why are they doing 100 bubble screens and all these trick little dump plays for CJ Carr? Well, the training wheels are on against Miami. Miami won the game, not taking that any away from them. But when Notre Dame started moving that ball and started actually throwing it, it was like, whoa. So okay, now we're going to tie it together. Why are we bringing up Notre Dame? They're not in the playoffs. Well, they're not, but we're talking common opponents. So don't shoot me, please.
This is the teams that beat Notre Dame Bowl effectively. So we are comparing those from when they played Notre Dame, because me and Drew both watched the game, and you probably did also. If you didn't, then maybe you're watching the wrong show. Anyway, go ahead, Coach Drew.
Yeah, and if you look on paper, that's the two games where you can cross-reference easily because those are common opponents.
Right.
This is what we call sports talk, everyone, if you're paying attention. All right, back to the show. So one of the things, too, that Concepcion is a dog wide receiver.
Casey
He's going to be
Concepcion, runner, wide receiver, punt returner, A+, A+, A+. You put the ball in his hand.
He's going to be a first-round draft pick.
This is, when they say, let's get the ball to athletes in space, they're talking about KC Concepcion. He is the actual epitome of getting ball to athlete in space. There is no doubt. Mario Craver, their other receiver, is a fucking dog also. Concepcion, though, is a special athlete. I imagine him as a, like, all-state basketball player, football player, baseball player, track athlete. Not to cut you off, Coach Drew, but yeah, Concepcion is unbelievable for the Aggies. Unreal.
If you're just watching this from a pure fan standpoint and you're actually not caring because you're a Midwest person, because this is the Midwest Blitz, there is some draft picks that are going to be thrown around in this game. Whether you're looking at Bain, a top 5 pick, who's been rumored to go to, at this point, the Titans. There's a lot. Don't even get me started. I love football. There's so much. I'm deep. But
Bain's awesome, dude. Bain is awesome.
So you're going to see some guys that are going to be playing on Sunday. Marcel Reed is also a dog. Like, you have Carson Beck. He's been around for a little bit. And if you don't know already, Tony, man, that guy, he's like Spider-Man. I mean.
Yeah. Malachi Tony is about on the same level as Casey Concepcion of, dude, just get the ball in his hands. And again, I say this again for the casuals, you're about to turn it off or you already did turn it off. When they say athletes in space, these are the guys you're talking about, a Malachi Tony, a Casey Concepcion. This is the athlete in space. Some coaches, Drew, they want to reach and just be like, well, who's my best athlete right now? And they think they want to throw a bubble screen and it's going to go for a touchdown. These are the dudes that can actually make that happen. And I mean, it's athletic brilliance when you see Malachi Tony or KC Concepcion in the open field with the football. You can't really measure speed or agility in a way. Goes back, Drew, you're a Bears fan. Devin Hester was, he's a Hall of Famer as a kick returner. Has he been inducted yet? He will be if he's not.
Yes.
But
yeah,
Devin
he is inducted.
Devin Hester at Miami also. Hey, Hurricane fans, let's do a little Devin Hester talk. Devin Hester, they talked about how fast he was and what a great kick returner he was. He ran a 4.52 40-yard dash at the NFL Combine. I watched it live on NFL Network. Fuck with me. You don't watch more football than I do. You might think you do, but you don't. Devin Hester wasn't the best straight line speed, but he had the superpower combination of vision and agility. Start, stop, bang. That's what an athlete is. Now, if you run track, I guess if you run the 100 meters, 200ths of a second faster than me, you're a better athlete than me. In team sports, it's the brain and the body combined. Devin Hester was that guy. Malachi Tony and KC Concepcion are also like that in this game. I think, Drew, that Marcel Reed, 25 touchdowns, 10 interceptions this year. I've heard a lot of national pundits or casuals. Are they the same thing? It seems like they are the same thing. It seems like, Coach Drew, that nobody outside the Midwest Blitz actually watches these fucking games and watches these players. I've heard a lot of talk this week about how Marcel Reed can't hold on to the football and that he's a turnover prone. Well, 25 touchdowns and 10 interceptions doesn't seem that turnover prone to me. 160 rushing yards on top of that. In the Texas game against the Texas Longhorns, Marcel Reed threw 2 interceptions. They were both at the end of the game when A&M was down. He wasn't just casually throwing the ball around. They were losing, and he had to kind of force it in there to try and make something happen for his team. I think that there's a narrative about Marcel Reed being turnover prone or not taking care of the ball that I don't agree with at all. You watch the kid all year. He's very disciplined. He takes care of the football even while scrambling. He covers it up when he gets tackled. He's not just throwing up ducks to get picked off. In fact, if any quarterback in this game is more prone to do that, it's Carson Beck. And I like Carson Beck, but I'm telling you, the narrative I've heard about Reed not taking care of the football, I don't agree with it. I think that Carson Beck showed a tendency for turnovers in the Louisville game, where I graded all 4 of his interceptions as mistakes on his part as I rewatched these games this week in preparation for the show. And then even, I don't know, Beck's a good player. Reed's a good player. Reed's at home with the 12th man behind him. I don't know how you think Miami goes in there and wins this game. Unless they start magically running the ball again, which I don't think they're going to do against this defense.
Being Texas A&M and having the 12th man and having 12 men on the field at all times, it feels like. I mean, we see this with the Seahawks, right? When Pete Carroll was there, the 12th man that changes games. Now okay, that's an NFL game. It's really hard to get people behind in professional sports in a playoff game the way they do in college, because it seems like that could be every Saturday. But I'm telling you, there's a special feeling. Me and Nick felt that presence last year when we went to the game. It's a whole different atmosphere. If you ever get a chance to experience it, even if you're not a fan of the teams, it's very special. I do want to bring this up, though. I can see Concepcion or Tony being really good kick returners in the NFL. I'm calling it right now. You guys can clip this if you want. I don't care. Make fun of me. But one of these guys is probably going to break the NFL record for kick returns if they make it. It's way easier now. I'm seeing guys who normally don't make NFL teams, who can't run routes, kind of similar to what you're saying, make space in opportunities and get to the 50-yard line. I mean, I'm watching some guys run away from the ball, and I'm like, if that guy just had an extra gear, and I'm telling you, these 2 boys have that extra gear, you're going to be shocked.
Yeah, if you don't want to, if you're available at 12 noon on Saturday, and you claim to like football, and you don't at least turn this on in the background, just quit claiming to enjoy football. This is going to be a fun game to watch. I don't hate Miami, Drew. Again, I feel like I could have done a better job on this breakdown. My whole point is, though, I don't see Miami taking it on the road at A&M. Miami has done some crazy shit on defense this year. If we go back to the Notre Dame game, where you've got defensive linemen running out to tackle like screen plays or RPOs thrown to wide receivers. So this is not a dump on the Hurricanes. I've always thought Miami was cool, back to the U Hurricane days in the 80s and then the resurgence in the early 2000s. But I don't think Miami can go into Kyle Field and pull this one off. I just don't. My opinion.
Yeah. Well, it's time to go to Ole Miss, where it's not as happy as some people may say. Go ahead, Nick.
So the Tulane Angry Wave rolls into Oxford, Mississippi, 11 seed versus number 6 seed. Tulane is plus 17.5 in this one, Coach Drew. So these teams played earlier in the year, and the final score was 40-10 Ole Miss. So what could happen to change the outcome in a rematch where a potential champion knocked out a potential contender? Tulane's had a great year. The biggest thing that Tulane has going for them is that they were number 13 in the nation in turnover margin, plus 0.8 of a point per game, plus 0.8 turnovers per game. And that sounds like a really sexy stat where it's like they force a lot of turnovers. And when I tell you Tulane forces a lot of fucking turnovers, it is a lot of turnovers. I think they forced 39 turnovers this year. The problem is that Tulane also, with 39 turnovers, if you know football math, how are they only plus 0.8 turnovers a game? It's because they also tend to turn the ball over. This is a defense that likes to live dangerously. They give up big plays, but they also will turn you over. They'll give up a big pass play, get in the red zone on defense, and then pick you off. That's respectable for Tulane. I know you guys don't know anything about Tulane because you probably didn't watch them. I have. I looked at the stats. Jake Retzloff is also a good player for Tulane. Can run it. Can throw it. Problem for Tulane here, and this is the ultimate problem, is that Retzloff is the leading rusher on the team with 610 yards rushing this year. So Tulane plus 17.5 when they lost by 35 last time seems like a layup bet for me. I got Ole Miss minus 17.5 at home. Now, Coach Drew, I know you're going to get into the coaching change and Lane Kiffin going to LSU in the midst of this and all the drama involved in it. But I don't see how Ole Miss can blow this, especially, and we go back to the running game again, Coach Drew. How do we win a game? How do we build a team? We build it middle to inside out. Tulane's not going to run the ball well against Ole Miss, and I don't think Ole Miss has a great defense. And Coach Drew, I envision this. If I'm wrong about my prediction for this game and wrong about my bet, it's going to be because I don't really trust Ole Miss's defense. I don't trust Rebels' defense. They've been about as inconsistent as anybody in the country, but what the Rebs do is the Rebs fucking shoot bullets, man, and they score points. I got Ole Miss minus 17.5, but am I wrong? What am I missing? What is the strategy? What is the scenario for Tulane to keep this game close, cover, and maybe pull off one of the greatest upsets in college football playoff history? Does it have anything to do with coaching turnover, Coach Drew?
Yeah, let me just say this. When Lane Kiffin left, okay, the defensive coordinator took over, and he's going to stay the head coach moving into next year. So they already have an idea, and they had a plan, and they're going to take care of it the way they need to. Here's my problem with this whole situation, right? The offensive coordinator, Charlie Weiss Jr., okay, I have this feeling, right, that he's going to not be focused, okay? Now, you guys are looking at me and saying, podcast equipment's too cheap, and you're going to put it down there because of this take. Well, let me tell you from a coaching standpoint, I'll even say if I'm at my school right now, and I already know I have another school teaching job, I don't really have that much dividends in the school, even if we're trying to go for a record at that school. Like, your mind's already made up, your heart's not there. I just find it hard easily to be distracted. Are they gonna figure out, are they gonna miss details? Who's gonna win this chess match? There's another thing that needs to be said. Chip Kelly, right? When he went to the Raiders, I messaged my buddy and I was like, dude, Chip Kelly did great at Ohio State. Dude, Chip Kelly went to the Raiders and literally was just calling random plays and was not focused. Don't know why. I don't know if that's a credit to Will Howard for figuring shit out last year. I don't know if that was a thing last year. I'm not going to get too deep into the wicks there. But I'm going to say this. If Tulane covers, even covers, I think it's an injustice for this Ole Miss team that did really good and was doing great things until Lane Kiffin left to LSU. Where's the focus? What's going to happen? Alluding to what you said, are they going to keep it close? Defensive coordinators who become head coaches, what do, Nick? They run the ball, right? I can tell you that because I'm a Bears fan. Every time we have a defensive coordinator, we run the ball. Every time we have an offensive coordinator, we throw the ball. Whether we are good or bad at it is neither here nor there or anywhere. We could do some Dr. Seuss in the spirit of Grinch.
That's a beautiful observation, Coach Drew. That's what I love about you. Sometimes I overanalyze the game and you notice the obvious. Hey, offensive coordinator becomes head coach. Throw ball. Defensive coordinator becomes head coach. Run ball. There's definitely a lot of truth to that. I think, Coach Drew, though, comparing college football and pro football in this circumstance is apples and oranges, because I think and hope for the Ole Miss Rebels that they are as motivated and fired up for this game as they've ever been for any game. Because think about it. Why would a head coach named potentially Lane Kiffin leave a team when how many games did Ole Miss lose, Coach Drew? 3, 4, 5, 1? Ole Miss has exceeded expectations this year, and they've done great the whole time that old Kiffin was there, and he bailed on them the first chance that they got to success. I think that if my coach bailed on me, and it might be my last chance to play football, or at least I'm on a team and I'm getting ready to go pro, and my coach leaves and says, no, I think I'd rather go to a dumpster fire in Louisiana than stay here and have a chance to compete for the college football playoff. I was a guy, and I've said all year, I don't think Ole Miss's defense is that good, but I think their offense is great. I think that Shambliss at quarterback is amazing. Their running back is tough, but I don't want to single out too many individual players. If I'm an Ole Miss player right now and I'm playing this game, I've got a fire under my ass like I've never had my whole life. You left me? You left me at the altar right before the greatest moment in the history of Oxford, Mississippi. These people love football too. I mean, they're still talking about Grandpa Manning there all these years later. They love football and they're waiting for their chance. I feel like that there is actually an opportunity for Ole Miss to do something special for their community. And maybe I'm just being sentimental because I'm an IU fan. And if you guys if you're living under a rock, you don't realize that the greatest turnaround in sports history has happened in Bloomington with the IU football team. I think that Ole Miss might be primed here. I really do, to at least do their very best to make a run here. Tulane's offense will not overwhelm them. Like I said, they don't have a good running game. Tulane has had a great year. I think Ole Miss is going to do well. That's why I got Ole Miss minus 17.5. And I wasn't rooting for Ole Miss until Lame left. Now I'm kind of rooting for Ole Miss, Coach Drew. I'm a little sentimental about this one. I'm pulling for the boys in Oxford.
Now, not to contradict what I just said about the coaches and leaving and all that stuff, Tulane's head coach did accept another job and will be leaving after the college football playoffs, whenever that happens.
But he stayed with his team to have the opportunity of a lifetime. It's like in college basketball. You get a chance to play in the NCAA tournament in basketball, you're going to leave your team? Hell no. I mean, how do you recruit these kids and abandon them like Lane Kiffin did? I can't endorse it. I know he said he wanted to stay. He wants to have a separate family and a separate life and whatever. That might sound belligerent to some of you guys that are new to the Midwest Blitz. The chance to compete for a championship means everything, especially to Tulane, especially at James Madison, especially for Indiana last year. And you guys laughed when they got their ass kicked by Notre Dame. That means a lot. If you're not there to compete and play the football game, then you shouldn't be coaching football. The thing about football, for everybody listening and for Coach Drew and anybody else, is that, dude, in football, you only get so many games. You don't have a lot of football games to play as a player, as a coach, whatever. You only get so many a season. Major League Baseball, we get 162 games. NBA basketball, we get 82 games plus playoffs. In football, it's a finite existence. You live year round for this opportunity. And I think that the kids for Ole Miss are going to take advantage of it. I think they cover, and it's nothing against Tulane. They've had a great year. I'm happy for Tulane. We love football. We love college football. We love it here on the Midwest Blitz. I kind of like Ole Miss to come out and take care of business and be ready to go. But maybe I'm wrong. We'll see what the interim head coach or the new head coach does in this game.
I will say this. Now, I know I took Oklahoma earlier, and they're not favored against Alabama. I did take Texas Tech against Miami. Texas Tech is favored. I am taking Ole Miss here. If they don't cover the spread, or if they are upsetted, this is the game I would mark as also an upset. So this is a game where I call stay away from betting for Drew. Just got that feeling. I don't know what the spread's going to be. Everything looks right on paper, but I just don't know. Just don't trust it. Too many variables now. Too many different variables. Like we mentioned before, coaching changes. Defensive coaching to offensive coaching to conservative to trying to prove something. I mean, once you start adding all that, it's playoffs, baby. If that doesn't get you excited and get you at least curious about watching this game, because I know a lot of people are going to be like, Tulane, Ole Miss, snooze fest. I hope it's not a snooze fest. I hope it's a dogfight. I hope every game's a dogfight. But moving on to the next game, this one might not be a dogfight. And also, this will be fighting against time with Coach Drew will have to do dual paneling because the Bears play the Packers. So I will not be wearing green, but I will be rooting for Oregon because they are part of the Big Ten. But holy Toledo, Nick. This is another one where people are like, why? Go ahead, Nick.
So the 12 seed James Madison travels to Eugene, Oregon, to the Outson Zoo, one of the toughest places in all of college football to play. And Oregon's going to win this game. My bet on this game is under 48.5 because We don't know the health status of Oregon's wide receivers. Now, if you're new to the Midwest Blitz, you have not heard me tell you guys, if you haven't been watching Oregon is a power running team and a smash mouth defensive team primarily. And they have proven that. We had disappointing scores according to national media pundits when they played Northwestern, when they played Wisconsin. When they played Iowa, they didn't light the scoreboard up. Well, Oregon's had injuries at receiver, number one. And number two, Oregon is more than comfortable to play smash mouth football. And that's exactly what they need to do if their receivers are not back. Again, Decoria Moore and Gary Bryant are still questionable for this game. James Madison is listed as the number 7 overall team by Pro Football Focus in the advanced metrics. James Madison is not a bad football team at all. James Madison's got one loss this year to Louisville at the beginning of the year. Louisville was playing very well at the beginning of the year. If you don't believe me, ask Miami. James Madison has a strong running game. They have an athletic quarterback, true dual threat guy in Barnett III, and a good running back in Wayne Knight. I think Oregon wins this game. They're favored by 21 points, Coach Drew, but I would not bet, well, I haven't bet money that they would cover 21 because without their receivers being healthy, let's go back to last year for Oregon. They came in undefeated into the college football playoff and got boat raced by Ohio State. And I think the first time you get in the tournament, let's go back to Indiana last year. Not to say you're just happy to be there, you don't want to win, but I think you learn lessons from the games you lose under the national spotlight. I think Oregon realizes even Decoria Moore and Gary Bryant are able to play at wide receiver. Why would we go out here and throw the ball around the yard and put the ball at risk? Let's go back out there, smash mouth, pound it. That's what Dan Lanning's Ducks are going to do on Friday. It's going to shorten the game, and James Madison is also not going to come out and throw it a bunch. I think this is a game that'll be maybe a bet the under in the first half also. There's going to be a lot of running, a lot of field position type of game planning by both coaches. Oregon will take care of business, but James Madison will have a good showing because they are a physical team. They're a team that executes inside the tackle box defensively, good run fits, good linebacker play, all of these type of things. Let's talk about this, Coach Drew. We're talking about Tulane maybe not having a chance against Ole Miss. We're talking about James Madison not having a chance against Oregon. If we eliminate from the college football playoff field, what will we replace Tulane and James Madison with? Tennessee and Vanderbilt? Maybe. Neither one of those teams have any better chance of winning the national championship than Tulane or James Madison. At least we get a couple teams in here that if they win, it will be a major underdog story that everybody in the sports world will give a shit about and will enjoy it. I don't mind James Madison, Tulane being in here. I know that there are teams who feel aggrieved. Well, those teams should win their games, win their conference games, not get upset. I don't mind seeing James Madison have a shot to come in here. I think this game will be closer, at least like through the first half into the third quarter. I think Oregon wins, but my bet again is under 48.5. I think this is going to be low scoring because Dan Lanning respects what James Madison does, and he's not going to come out and throw the ball around the yard when his receivers are not healthy. That's not an insult to Dante Moore. I think Dante Moore is a hell of a quarterback. I just don't know why. I'll say it this way. I think Lanning thinks football logic the same way I do. Why are we going to throw the ball up for grabs when our receivers are not healthy? Lanning's not as much worried about trying to blow James Madison out as he is trying to buy another week, stay alive, and let his receivers heal up, whether they dress or not. I think they can win the game in a smash mouth running affair. I think that's what they're going to do. I think Oregon is going to decide to dominate the lines of scrimmage. They can do so with Bryce Betcher at linebacker, Amari Washington, and Bear Alexander on the defensive line. Not to leave too many people out, Kenyon Sadiq will be happy for Oregon to come out and do mostly blocking and then pick up a few clutch third downs for them. I think this is going to be a low-scoring affair, Coach Drew.
Not so fast, my friend. This is why we've done a lot of studying here in the Midwest Blitz. Now put on our science lab coats, everybody. We're going to do some science. Now, many of you guys don't know this, but I do teach science here and there. Now, one of the things I do want to mention is when an East Coast team travels to a West Coast team, it's almost 2 to 3 touchdown differentials to start with. Okay, now we talk about James Madison's. This game starts at James Madison's 9:30 p.m. That's late. They have to travel there, and their time clocks are going to be off. There's this thing called jet lag. It's a scientific thing. When you're in a different time zone, your body and timing is going to be off. All right, now that we got through that boring segment, yes, they have been down there for a little bit, but I'm still telling you, 9:30, it's still gonna feel the difference. I remember when I used to travel to California, and they looked like they were not a good football program. Okay, here now, some people will say, well, the Chargers suck. Okay, I'll do you one better. The Rams, who are one of the favorite teams in the NFC to win the Super Bowl, went from LA, played a noon game in Carolina. The Carolina Panthers, ladies and gentlemen, and got blown out there. It's the unfortunate of time and traveling.
Coach
That's
Drew,
the only reason why.
I was told there would be no math incorporated here, but that's a pretty good point. I think game plan wise, Oregon's going to come out and pound the rock on the run. I think the bigger lead Oregon has at the beginning, the more they're going to run it in the second half and force James Madison to pass it. James Madison's running game has been more efficient than their passing game. If James Madison is forced to throw a lot, it will result in turnovers. I still don't think Oregon is going to put up the points that it takes to get over this 48.5 point threshold, which, not to make this a whole gambling segment, but I think what I'm trying to express is the pace of play and the type of game it's going to be, not an insult to either program. But yes, the travel is noteworthy, Coach Drew.
Yes, sir. Well, I do have some breaking news while we're recording this. Kingston State pulls off a late touchdown to beat Troy 17-13. So again, if you just wanted to watch some football, college bowls, there is games out there for you folks. It was an electrifying game. I just watched the replay while Nick was giving his recap of the segment I just gave, and let me tell you, just watch the games. And that's what we're going to bring to you. We're going to bring you some bowl previews now.
Absolutely.
So we just talked.
As my dog comes over here. My dog comes over to bother me. But you know what? Your dog's never bothering you. He just wants some pets. We are going to talk bowl games. Nice update, Coach Drew. That was great timing. Old Dominion plays South Florida on Wednesday the 17th. So South Florida obviously had a lot of college football playoff hype. Their two losses were to Navy and Miami. Two pretty good teams. Navy ended up 10-2. While Old Dominion hold the Indiana Hoosiers to 27-point output, lost to the Hoosiers at the beginning of the year, the number one team deservedly in college football. Colton Joseph for Old Dominion, the quarterback, runs like a 4.3 40. He's got like 25 touchdowns, 10 interceptions this year. This guy can run, can throw. He had two 75-yard touchdown runs, and I mean exactly 75 yards against the Hoosiers earlier in the year. They run that Lane Kiffin Ole Miss style widespread offense, the veer and shoot type offense. This will be a fun game, Old Dominion versus South Florida. This is at 5 p.m. Eastern on ESPN on Wednesday. We also have the Louisiana Raging Cajuns versus the Delaware Blue Hens. Coach Drew, the Blue Hens, is this their first year in FBS or their second year? I think it's their first.
I believe it's their second.
It's their
second. You could play with them in college football last year.
Okay. But the Blue Hens of Delaware are in a bowl game, which is pretty badass in their second year in FBS. Pretty cool deal for them because you know that they're going to be fighting their butt off, be excited to be there, which is the whole thing about bowl games don't matter. We don't care about Christmas time bowl games. I bet the Blue Hens care, and the Raging Cajuns are always down to have a fist fight in a bowl game. I mean, Coach Drew, why do we not want to watch football around the holidays? If you're home, you got some friends over, you got a bottle of eggnog, you just whip it out.
You have it.
I did.
It's an opportunity to watch football every day, whether you like college, NFL. Hell, there's probably some European football on right now. Might as well, right? I mean, there's games to be watched.
You're welcome, Europe. We have exported American football to Europe. They don't care. We do, though. On Friday, hey, little Maction here, little postseason Maction. We got Kennesaw State plus 3.5 against the Western Michigan Broncos. The Broncos, Mid-American Conference champions, finished strong behind a smash-mouth defense and a strong running game. They face up against Kennesaw State. Kennesaw State's got 3 losses. IU, Wake Forest, they lost 10-9 their first game, and they lost to Jacksonville State, their Conference USA rival, in the regular season, but came back to beat them in the conference championship game. Kennesaw State is a very good football team. And before I did the breakdown, Coach Drew, I thought I was going to pick Kennesaw State to win this game. Kennesaw State's got no bad losses. Western Michigan had a Big Ten loss in the pre-conference, but Western Michigan really found their style of play, and the strategy that has led them down the stretch to become a MAC juggernaut. Look, Nadame Tucker for Western Michigan, 14.5 sacks, and this Bronco defense are going to wreak havoc on a Kennesaw State team that does not block very well in the running game. Brock Lowry for Western Michigan is a dog. I got Broncos -3.5. This is going to be a fun one on Friday. This is an early day game. Go Broncos, dude. Let's get a MAC win here. Kennesaw State's a solid program. If they played earlier in the year, I think Kennesaw State would have beat them. Right now, though, the way Western Michigan has been trending and how good their defense has been playing, dude, Nadame Tucker, 14.5 sacks. He's getting some NFL buzz. I got Broncos pulling this one out, Coach Drew. Let's go MAC. I should have worn my MAC shirt tonight. I wore my Big Ten shirt, but I really think Western Michigan's going to pull this one out.
Let's go Broncos, right? Why not? Keep it simple, keep it clean.
Louis Barons played for the Western Michigan Broncos. That's all I need. He's a legend in my book.
There's a player that I used to coach in baseball. Now he just plays football. He may or may not be playing there one day. He's a junior, so I got a lot of time to decide, but
we got another one, Coach Drew. We got Memphis versus NC State on Friday before the Bama-Oklahoma game. So Memphis kind of went on the downslide down the stretch in Conference USA. In the American Conference, Memphis had to play Navy and some other good teams down the stretch, but they are a good team. They beat South Florida earlier in the year, Memphis did. Memphis is a good team. NC State beat Virginia, probably should have won the ACC. But, I guess no crying over spilt milk. NC State also beat Georgia Tech. So these are 2 very quality teams that you wouldn't want your Power 4 team to play in a non-con game. Even my Hoosiers and Kurt Signetti might decline an invitation to play a non-con game against NC State because they have done that. So IU fans, don't fucking yell at me. You know it's true. Actually, we were supposed to play Virginia. So throw that one out there. But I think this is going to be a fun game, Memphis and NC State, earlier in the day. So if you get off work early and you're hanging out with your buddies, you're having some beverages, definitely check out Memphis versus NC State. This will be a fun game to watch leading into Bama and Oklahoma. Coach Drew, it's the most wonderful time of the year. And that means football and eggnog and time with friends and family. Don't let them tell you that bowl games aren't fun. If bowl games aren't fun, if that's what you think, you hate football. You're not a football fan. Just turn the game on. You never know what you're going to see. There's a lot of fun stuff that happens in these bowl games, even a Pop-Tart Bowl that some teams wouldn't want to participate in. There are a lot of fun things that happen. Look, like I said, there's only so many football games in a season. I will cling to them with my dying fingers. That's why we're here on the Midwest Blitz. If you love football, you're in the right place. Bowl games aren't fun. Bullshit. Bullshit, Coach Drew.
Haters will hate, that's for sure.
If you want to hate football, is that the start of Midwest Goodbye, Coach Drew?
That's what you took the words right out of my mouth. I don't get why people declare that bowl games don't matter. I feel like it's their last time to play college football. It's their last time to be with their bros. It's a free trip.
Last time you get to see your team play. If you like
neutral sites usually. It's like spring training for baseball or going on a college trip for baseball.
And the obvious or not obvious implications for people that don't understand how college football works. You get underclassmen that get a chance to get more practice time, game reps for next season. Your friends and family get to gather by the fire and watch another football game. And okay, Why do bowl games, air quotes, not matter? Because you're not competing for the national championship. Most of these teams knew they weren't competing for the national championship at the start of the season. So why is this game any less meaningful than any of the other games?
Yeah.
I mean, it's boring. I mean, for the casuals, I know that they'll just tune in to half of a college football playoff game, they'll look at the final score and say, oh, that team shouldn't be there, or this team shouldn't be there. Well, really, Drew, there's only, in my mind, 4, maybe 5 teams that really have a chance to win the national championship as it stands right now with a season's body of work. So if we don't want to watch bowl games, then why do we watch football at all? It's because it's football. Football is awesome. That's why we watch it. And I mean, last year in Toledo doesn't play this week, but Toledo beat Pittsburgh in a shootout last year that ended in overtime in a bowl game. It was freaking awesome. Alabama got beat by Michigan last year in a bowl game that I guess only me and Coach Drew watched if I talk to the casuals around me. That game was awesome. It was a great football game. Illinois, Coach Drew, who will play Tennessee in a bowl game later that we will talk about, but not this week. That game was awesome. If you didn't enjoy watching Illinois versus South Carolina last year, you're not a football fan. And that's the spoiler alert. If you don't enjoy watching some of these games, you're not really a football fan. Just move on to basketball or whatever. I don't get it. Dude, these bowl games are fun. What else are you doing? Taiwanese table tennis, Chinese checkers? Get the sports book out. You can gamble on any of them. You can watch any of them.
I was looking for Korean baseball, but that's okay.
Nothing wrong with Korean baseball, Coach Drew.
There's not. The KBO is pretty fun. Sometimes players come out there that are nice for you avid baseball fans. Well, I think that's a great way to end the Midwest Blitz. This is a little bit of ruffling of some feathers. Tune in this weekend. Let us know what you think. And as always, enjoy it. Coach Drew signing off.
Hey, enjoy the games. We'll talk to you. Merry Christmas. We'll be back.